Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing Wingstop and I have a true crime story for you. So we're gonna eat a little bit. I have my family here. It's a snow day. Yeah, they're eating with me, so we're gonna eat a little bit and then I'll get into the story of a true story of two 12-year-olds and the Slenderman stabbing that you may have heard of that happened in Wisconsin. Alright. How was your guys' weekend? Mine was good. I tried to film a video for you guys yesterday, but it went so bad. It was homemade chili with cornbread. And then I had Sophia try and do it again because I couldn't eat that much anymore. And it just didn't turn out very good. So I have 3 mango habanero, 3 original hot, 3 Cajun, and then 3 garlic Parmesan, 3 corns, some carrots and celery, and then some seasoned fries. And then over here I have some blue cheese. I'm gonna move this closer. Their blue cheese looks different. I don't know why. It's usually more whiter than this, but it looks like there's some kind of seasoning. This is so good. This one's a mango habanero. Alright, let's try their corn. This is my first time trying it. It looks like it has Cajun seasoning on it, I think. Pretty good. Oh my gosh, I haven't had wings in a long time. Well, I haven't had Wingstop in a long time. I've been making homemade wings. Okay. Let's try a Cajun one. Gotta scoop down to the bottom to get some of that cheese. Delicious. So yeah, we got snow last night. And it actually stuck. And then temperatures dropped. So school, I got a phone call this morning from the kids' school at 5:30 in the morning saying that school's canceled for the day. Mango, no, not mango. Garlic Parmesan. Nice and crunchy. I'm usually not that big of a dipper, but when it comes to Wingstop, their ranch and blue cheese is just heavenly. The true crime that we're talking about today is the story of the Slenderman stabbing. And it was these two girls, Anissa Wire and Morgan Geyser. They were both 12 years old. This happened on May 31st, 2014. And they stabbed their best friend 19 times because they were trying to prove that Slenderman was real, and they wanted to become Slenderman's proxies and go live with him in the forest. So, who is Slenderman? Slenderman is a fictional character. There's lots of stories about him on this website called Creepypasta. And he's an urban legend. He's known as today's modern day boogeyman. A lot of kids know about him. I know my kids knew about him before I even knew about him. I still didn't really even know who he was until I researched this case. So he's an online fictional character. There are multiple stories about him. He is a tall, faceless man dressed in a black suit and tie. He can have tentacles. He can have mind control power. If you're around him, he can make you feel ill. Yeah. So these girls, they were into Slenderman. Now, the stories on the internet they're fiction, but the way that they're written, and the pictures that go along with it, they're photoshopped to make it look like he's there in the pictures, if that makes sense. So the pictures that you see of him on the internet, they look real, but they've been photoshopped. So young, impressionable children who are reading about these stories could easily think that Slenderman is real. But in actuality, he's fiction. It's make-believe. And these girls, specifically Anissa Wire, she knew about him first. And she introduced Morgan to Slenderman. Morgan became obsessed with him. And when Anissa introduced Morgan to Slenderman, Morgan said that she had seen him before when she was 5. And they were always reading stories about this Slenderman character. Morgan one day went to Anissa and basically said that Slenderman, they should become proxies of Slenderman. For Slenderman. A proxy is somebody that will carry out crimes and basically do things for Slenderman to prove their worthiness. And so it was Morgan's idea to kill their friend Peyton. Morgan and Peyton were best friends since the 4th grade. They would call each other every night on the phone. They'd always go over to each other's houses. They were best friends, you know, things that best friends would do. So Morgan and Anissa, in December of 2013, started planning how they were going to kill Peyton. They ended up following through with this on May 31st, 2014. It was Morgan's 12th birthday, and so she invited Peyton and Anissa over for a sleepover. They went skating, you know, a typical 12-year-old birthday, and they slept over. Their original plan was to kill Peyton while she was sleeping because Anissa had read somewhere that it's easier to kill somebody with their eyes closed, because if their eyes are open and you look them in the eyes, you can see a reflection of yourself, so it's like you're killing yourself. So the plan was for them to kill Peyton in her sleep at Morgan's house, cover her body up, and they were both gonna go leave to the Nicollet Forest to find Slenderman and his mansion to live with him. But they couldn't. They got scared. They got nervous. They couldn't do it. So they went to sleep and figured. Morgan said that she wanted to give Peyton another day, another morning to live before it happened. So they go to sleep, they wake up, they have breakfast. Morgan's mom said it was a normal breakfast. They had donuts and strawberries, and there was nothing out of the ordinary. It was just another beautiful day. The sun was out. There were no red flags for Morgan's parents to know that anything was up. So the girls asked to go to the park. They go to the park, and then Morgan and Anissa go into the bathroom, and then they decide that that's where it was going to happen. Anissa didn't think they were actually going to go through with it until Morgan lifted up her shirt and tucked inside her belt there was a kitchen knife that she had grabbed from her home. It was a 5-inch blade kitchen knife. So they noticed that there was a drain in the bathroom, and then their next plan was to kill Peyton in the bathroom so that when she bled, the blood would lead down to the drain, and then somebody, would find her dead. They would leave and go find the mansion. So they went into the stall, and they told Peyton to close her eyes, and then Anissa knocked her head back with her elbow to where it hit the cement, and she said it was an accident. I think she tried to get Peyton to go to sleep or something. But yeah, so they ended up not doing it. And then they decide to go play hide and seek in the forest. I'm pretty sure by this time Peyton knows that something is not right because she doesn't want to go into the forest. But Anissa and Morgan convince her, saying that once they're done playing hide and seek, they can play a game that Peyton wants to play. So they go into the forest. And Anissa is the one that's supposed to find them. So Morgan and Peyton go hiding. While they're hiding, the girls are hiding together. And Morgan decides to get on top of Peyton and is basically sitting on her legs. And Anissa finds them. Neither of the girls really want to do it. So Anissa hands the knife to Morgan. Anissa hands the knife to Morgan and basically said, I can't do it. You need to do it. Go ballistic. Go crazy. And then Morgan said, I can't do it unless you tell me to do it. So Anissa said now. And then that's when Morgan started stabbing her best friend. She ended up stabbing her 19 times in the chest and the legs, all over her body. While Peyton was being stabbed, Peyton told them that she couldn't see anything. She thought she could trust them and that she hated them. And by the time they were done, she was breathing very shallowly. And Anissa told Peyton to just lay still so that she doesn't lose blood as quickly, and that they were going to go get help. So Morgan and Anissa left. They took the blade with them and left their friend there to die in the forest. Only they weren't going to get help. Their plan was to walk to the Nicolette Forest to find Slenderman and live with him in his mansion. This little girl, Peyton, she is so strong. She was able to crawl her way out of the forest to a nearby path that was closed off that day, meaning that nobody should have been on that path. She got to the path and she just laid there. By the grace of God, a bicyclist found her. decided to go through that path, even though the chain was up, having it blocked off. He decided to go through that path, and he found Peyton laying there, and she asked him for help. He called 911 right away, and Peyton was sent to the hospital. The cops arrived. Peyton was rushed to the hospital. She survived. She lost a lot of blood, but she did survive. And the doctor had said that one of the wounds was a millimeter away from hitting a major artery, that she could have had a heart attack and died within 1 to 2 minutes. Anissa and Morgan are later found along the interstate. They had the knife on them. Morgan had her bloody coat still on her. She had blood on her. They had a backpack that had granola bars, so they were packing for basically to never come home. Now, the walk that these girls were planning on doing, they would have never gotten there. The driving distance from where they were to where they were trying to go was a 4 to 5 hour drive. They would have never made it. They didn't have enough supplies. But these girls were delusional. I mean, they thought that they had to kill their best friend. So the girls were each brought in for questioning. They were separated. Their interrogations can be seen online. And they gave up everything. They gave in detail why they did it, how they did it. And their reasoning why is because they were trying to impress Slenderman. These girls thought that Slenderman was real and that he was haunting them. And if they didn't kill their best friend for him, that he would have killed their family or them. Something bad was going to happen. So that was their reasoning. The judge ended up trying them as adults. But they were both deemed mentally unstable. So they were sent to do mental evaluations. From those mental evaluations, we learned that Morgan has early onset schizophrenia. And it turns out that her dad is diagnosed with schizophrenia as well. There's a documentary about this crime on HBO that I watched. And her parents speak about how Morgan was when she was young. And the same with Anissa's parents. Anissa was just your normal child. She was in choir. The parents monitored their internet activity. They knew that they were watching Slenderman, but they didn't think that their daughters thought that Slenderman was real. But I guess that from an early age, Morgan's mom noticed that she didn't react to certain situations how you would expect somebody to act. She tells the story about when Morgan was watching Bambi, the part where the mom dies. She didn't have any empathy towards that. And I guess as a child, well, she still was a child. She never really cried. She never really showed a lot of emotion. She believed in, she had imaginary friends, and she believed in Santa up until a very late age, which her parents thought was strange. Even while she was being evaluated, she was seeing people in her room. Yeah, so she had a very serious diagnosis of schizophrenia. In 2017, the girls seem to be doing good. They're not allowed to talk to each other. They are tried separately. And they ended up pleading guilty. To avoid prison time, they both pled guilty to attempted murder. Peyton's parents reluctantly agreed to it, but they wanted to see that both of the girls were supervised at all times. So the best thing would be for them to be institutionalized in a mental hospital. So after being tried for adults, they pled guilty. Anissa received a 25-year sentence, which is the maximum that she could have gotten for being an accomplice. And she will get out of the mental institution when she's 37 years old. Morgan, she ended up being sentenced to 40 years to a mental institution, which I think is good, but I also think that they shouldn't have been tried for adults. I remember seeing somewhere that even if these girls were to have pled not guilty by way of insanity, they probably would have been found not guilty because they were both found, mentally incapable. They were both delusional. And one of them had a very serious mental issue with schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is where people see imaginary fictional characters and they believe it's real. It's hard for them to distinguish what's in their head or what's imaginary between that and reality. And when Anissa introduced Morgan to Slenderman, Morgan most likely already had symptoms of schizophrenia. She was already schizophrenic. And so by her introducing Slenderman, Morgan thought that he was real and acted upon those thoughts that made her come to the conclusion that she thought she had to kill Peyton, her best friend. I don't think that any of this has to fall on the parents, because a lot of people would say, oh, it's the parents' fault for not watching what their kids are doing and seeing on the internet. And from the documentaries that I've watched and the information that I've seen, these were parents that didn't just let their kids do whatever. They knew that they were into Slenderman, but they didn't realize it's so easy for young kids to get these ideas in their head, and they're very impressionable. And if a kid is watching it over and over and over and over and over again, of course that's going to have some effect on your mental status. One example I can give myself, not to put light on the situation, but I started getting into The Walking Dead, and I was watching it episode after episode after episode all day. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I could sit and watch that. I had to catch up on like 6 seasons They were in their 7th season by the time I was watching it, and I was catching up on Netflix. And there are times when I would be driving down the street and I would feel like I was about to come up on some zombies, because I was watching it all the time. Something that you see over and over again, it can affect your mental status. But I'm an adult. I know what's real from fake. But sometimes kids, they just don't know, and their brains are still maturing and growing, and I feel like it's just such a sad case. I feel so sad for the girl for Peyton, because can you imagine having your best friend stabbing you? Like, you go to your best friend's house to have fun and, to get away from your other siblings, not thinking that, it's potentially a bad place that you could go. You hear all these stories of these kids going over to their friend's house and then them turning on them. It's crazy. I don't let my kids go to sleepovers. Nuh-uh. No way. I just feel like society today is, you never know what to expect. You could think you're in the safest place in the world that you could be in at that moment, but really, circumstances, you never know who you're dealing with. You never know what one's mental status is. Yeah, so Peyton, she survived, and she's healthy. She's, her favorite things to do are go to the animal shelter. That's her favorite place. She has a wall in her room of Purple Hearts that people were sending her, just, sympathy and stuff for her to get well, and that she's strong. She's a strong survivor. One thing that was mentioned in the HBO documentary is that her mom asked her, how did you do it? How did you crawl out of that forest? How did you have the strength? And she said that she wanted to live. So that's it for today, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. If you want me to cover a case, leave me a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.